his account got taken over that way. Somebody sent him a message in Facebook. There was a sense of urgency, and they were asking for something. And he clicked the button.
Tulsa Talks is the podcast that is inspiring people to have everyday meaningful conversations to gain perspective and help the world.
Hey guys, we're here with Tyler Troxel. He is an IT guy that is focused and passionate about helping people stay safe online in their business and also personal lives. Tyler.
Sir.
Good to have you here today.
Thank you for the invite.
Yes, sir.
Happy to be here.
Thanks. Tell us about how you were equipped to get to this point in your life where you can help people stay safe online.
Yeah, well, really started in college. That's where my computers journey began. I always loved them, but unlike some people, I wasn't exposed to them constantly. My grandma actually had a computer before we did.
And about what year was this when you were introduced to computers in college?
2011. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So back then, I didn't have a lot of experience, but I loved them and I liked playing with them. And that turned into liking figuring out how to break them. And then, of course, put them back together again. My roommate at the time.
So you were
crime,
basically playing like a child with a bicycle
Yeah,
that would
kinda.
take it apart and put it back together.
Yeah,
and
I
see
didn't
what
have a clue what I
happens.
was doing, but I wanted to figure it out. Yeah. So over years of this, I got inspired even back then I thought it'd be really cool to just work in IT. I knew I didn't have the skill set, but I wanted it.
As you well know, being our IT guy,
Yeah.
that is not what I want to do.
No. And there's a lot of people that don't.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here doing it for us.
Of course. And, it's one of those things that everybody should do what they're good at and what they really enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Because if you enjoy it, you will do a better job.
Yeah, stay in your lane.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So your lane, you were breaking and fixing computers in college.
Yep. And I knew I loved it. And at that time, it was a matter of I just had to do it a lot. I had to. And eventually, I used to start learning bits and pieces and, eventually started doing capture the flag things online, which is there's courses that you go through and websites out there that set up training environments, so to speak. And there's they put what they call a flag, but it's a hidden code that you're supposed to find in that made up computer environment. And you're expected to hack in, find the flag, and post it in your time. And
So let me make sure I understand that right. Hacking in means that you don't have access to a computer
Correct.
properly, and you go into that computer system without permission.
Yes, but in this
But
scenario,
you had permission from this because it
Right.
was a training exercise.
Correct.
But you still had the ability to go into people's computers, hacking in, and you do whatever you want to with that system at that time.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay.
Um,
And then you would find code, specific code
Mhm.
inside that system. Not only were you having to infiltrate a system, you had to find something specific in that system.
yes, you had to find something. There was a goal set out, and every scenario they'd say, like, here's the goal. This is what you're looking for, and then here's how you connect to it and start, basically, and then you start. And it's intended to be a training environment. In my world, this is something that people do to both stay sharp and stay current, and then also to develop and just practice skills. None of this is a practical thing, so to speak. By doing that specifically, we're not helping anyone directly, but it just helps us develop the skills that we need. So when we get into a real world environment, we actually can do something about it.
Yeah, so it's a training exercise to help you help people.
Yes. Yep. That's exactly right. And so that's really eventually when I got into doing things like that, that's really when I thought, okay, I think I can actually help people in the real world, not just in theory.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by having this background of infiltrating computers, that was an exercise, that was a legal practice to do, you can understand how other people do that.
Yes, and I think that's important too when you're trying to tell people, like, how do you protect themselves, is understanding, well, how are people actually going to try to take advantage of them in the first place, both from a technical standpoint and also from a psychological standpoint. Most people don't realize hackers are the best social manipulators in the world. They have to be. It's their whole job. Literally, it is their entire profession, is manipulating you.
What does that mean as far as online?
Yeah, so the emails that you get that are spam or phishing emails, or when you get a message on Facebook and it's either not from who they say they are, or they're trying to get something from you, whatever. All of these people are trying to trick you into something or convince you of something that is untrue, and they have to understand how you think in order to do that successfully.
But how do you know the difference between somebody sending you something that is from them or if it's malicious?
Yep. So generally speaking, there are always a couple key indicators. One of those is urgency. If you see something that is indicating some degree of urgency, you should immediately be suspicious. Always.
So you're saying if I have to take action right now or something catastrophic is going to happen, that might not be
Yes.
real?
Well, and not only that, if I see something that says take action right now or something catastrophic might happen, I immediately assume it is either malware or spam or phishing or something. It is malicious in its nature until absolutely proven otherwise.
Okay. So how do you circumvent that happening? As far as being, knowing the difference, or what action
Absolutely.
do you take?
Yep. So generally speaking, when that happens, they're coming from some sort of place of authority. They're either trying to say we're with the government or with the IRS or we're with your phone company or your internet company
Or your bank.
or your bank, right? So the first thing you do is never, ever, ever click on the link in the email or the message, ever. Because if it is malicious, that's the payload. You don't want to click the thing and execute the payload and then find out, what bad things did it do? No. You want to prevent that from happening. That's the whole goal. So instead, let's say it's from your bank. Well, the first thing I do is call my bank.
Seems pretty simple, doesn't it?
Yeah, because then if it's actually legitimate and I call my bank and they go, no, actually, there's this suspicious charge and, we have to close your bank account now. Like, all right, well, they can tell me that over the phone or in person.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need an email for that.
That's right.
And here's the other thing. They have all my contact info. They could have just called me. And it's the same. Let's say it's government. Let's say it's, as much as I hate this, the elderly are picked on more because, unfortunately, statistically speaking, the elderly are more likely to fall for scams. And so Social Security scams happen all the time. Medicare scams happen all the time.
Yeah.
Guess what? There are organizations you can call that will tell you what the reality is. You don't operate based on the message you received, the notification you received. You call the organization responsible and you get a real answer. And if it conflicts, obviously the email's incorrect.
Yeah, go straight to the source.
Always go to the source. Always. Bypass whatever it is, whatever email or text or Facebook message you've received.
Okay.
Don't interact with them.
But if we don't live that out in our lives, like some of us, and we accidentally click on that, is there something that we could do pre-hand in case we do accidentally click on that?
Yep. So the best thing you can do is get a good antivirus. It's not going to protect you against everything, but it really helps a lot. And you can think of this logically as well. Like a lot of people go, oh, I don't really need to get antivirus because I don't spend that much time online, or it has, some version of antivirus built in, which I get the thought process, but think about it logically. One, if you're on the internet at all and someone's attacking you, you have something they want. They are trying to take advantage of you. Are you sure you don't want to try to stop them? And the second thing is, yes, Windows Defender exists on Windows systems and Mac has a version of the same thing, but it is the standard to beat for literally everyone. If you are an attacker, that is what you are building your malware around defeating. And if you are someone who's trying to defend a system and you're selling antivirus, it's got to be better than Windows Defender, or why would people buy it?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So with that being said, I noticed something. You said that that you need to have something that those people want. Are these people targeting individuals, or are they just pushing stuff out to like the masses?
Everyone has value. Now, that's different depending on the person, right? So any individual works at a company, and if I can compromise that individual, I might be able to compromise the company, right? So immediately you have intrinsic value to the organization that you work for. Moreover, most people bank online these days. So there's your banking account to think about. There's also all your social media accounts. Because if I take over somebody's social media account and they have however many followers, it doesn't matter how many, but the more the merrier. Now you can change that into something malicious and they think it's you promoting it. They're like, oh, I trust this person. I know that person. And if they're sending me this link, obviously I can click on it.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
That's one of the biggest dangers of social media.
Yeah, it's not somebody on social media, or it's not that they're trying to use your social media to do like a GoFundMe or whatever they do on social media. It's so that they can get into other people's private information.
You bet. Okay. And get access to their Facebook accounts to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. That's why Facebook is so covered with all of these scam things, these posts, and some of them even look real.
Yeah.
As much as I hate it, there's a lot of like missing people reports and missing pet reports. Some of those are real. Some of them aren't. Because it's very easy to manufacture a fake person and a fake missing person that has no legal backing. There's not actually a missing person report out on them. And if you click that link, it's not legit.
So let's go through this scenario a little bit deeper, please. So
Sure.
I'm, for example, and I'm not a social media guy. We have a team member here that does that.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler does our IT work. So not me. Thanks for your patience, audience. Anyway, so what I'm hearing is you go into social media like Facebook, for example, and they've got a missing dog or a missing person alert or whatever, and they get you to click on that, and then they get your information, and then they can get into like sending you emails or something like that with that information. What do they do with that?
So they could. So there's a couple ways that happens. So it's better to actually take one step back and say, first off, how do they compromise a Facebook account? Not in technical terms for those who are worried. And then what do they do with that information? So the first thing is, when you log into a website, especially if you're saying, keep me logged in, you get that little checkbox, keep me logged in. Everybody's like, oh, I love that because I don't have to log in. I don't have to remember my password. Great. Except now your computer has a little token that says, I'm logged in. You don't have to ask me to log in again, and I'm supposed to be here. So there's a couple different stealers out there. There's, for the more technical of you, Luma Stealer and Redline Stealer, several very popular ones. But for the rest of you, there are several very popular programs out there that are not hard to get your hands on. And it's like a malware as a service type thing. Somebody wrote it and they'll sell it to people, and then you buy a copy of it. And then now you have that, so you can craft your little social engineering thing to try and take advantage of somebody.
So it's a platform for information thieves.
Yep. And then when somebody clicks on it, it takes all of your cookies that say, I'm logged in and I'm supposed to be here, and all of the passwords you have stored on your computer, your web browsers, and everything else, anything that's saved on your computer, or saves, people like to save their passwords in Chrome or Edge or the Apple keychain, takes all those passwords and it exports them to the attacker. So now they have every login that you have, and they have all of your tokens that say you're supposed to be there. So not only do they have the logins to begin with, they're not even going to be prompted to log in at all. They're going to go to that web page and it's going to say, hi, Craig. They're not Craig, but it thinks they are because they have that token that says they're supposed to be there. And now they can make your page do anything they want. I just talked to a guy last week. It's not a customer of mine, but he called me panicking because his account got taken over that way. Somebody sent him a message in Facebook. There was a sense of urgency, and they were asking for something. And he clicked the button. Scamming other people that he used to contact that trusted him with malware campaigns.
I know a lot of people on Facebook that have 5,000 friends and they only know 20 people personally.
Yep.
What kind of exposure does that give to people? Does that have anything to do with what we're talking about?
Kind of. Now there's different types of fake accounts, right? So one of the types of fake accounts would be,
I'm talking about if I have, which I used to try to get big numbers on my Facebook personal page back in the day because I had this idea of sharing Christianity with people on there. And then I just went quiet for several years now. And I had 5,000 people or however many people they would allow you to have. And then we had a LinkedIn follower too, and I knew none of these people personally. Is there a situation with that can be, that if you're one of the 5,000 people that are friends with somebody you don't know, and that person starts putting out stuff,
it can show up on your page. It could show up on your page, or they could send you a direct message from that person going, hey, we haven't talked in a while, but I saw this thing, thought you might like it, click here.
Yeah. And if it's juicy enough.
Oh, yeah. Or, oh, man, we haven't talked in a while, but I've had this life event, and I really need some help. Can you help me?
Yeah.
How are you going to know the difference?
Right.
I mean, truly, if their account gets compromised, how do you know the difference?
Right. Yeah.
Well, usually you'd reach out to that person, but what if that's the only way you have to contact them?
Right. Yeah. They live halfway around the world.
Yeah.
You talked to them maybe twice on Messenger or something like that a few years ago, and they are legitimate people. And, you had to reach out to them and trust them that they were legitimate people back then.
Exactly.
But you were lucky that they were that time, and this time you might not be.
And that's part of why this is so dangerous. Because so many people have this friends list that, they don't know who all these people are. A lot of people have friends, they get a friend request and then they're I don't know what the Gen Z term of it is, but they just want to have as many friends as they can have. Right. Anybody who sends them a friend request, send me more. Friend me on Facebook, friend me. And now you've got this friends list that's 10,000 people long and you know 4 of them.
Right.
Yep. Can you do that? Sure. You're opening yourself and everyone you know up for bad things.
Right. Yep. Are company pages different?
Not really.
On Facebook?
No.
So
followers work the same way.
Yeah.
Now, it's not necessarily going to have the reverse effect, but let's say the company page gets taken over. All of the followers of that page are going to get distributed information. But even if I take over an individual's page and they're following this business, I can see all the businesses they're following, right? And then I can decide, do I want to target this business or not? Now, generally, there's better ways to target businesses. That's not usually option number 1. That said, is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Especially if they've done business with that company multiple times. If they're established as a customer and go, hey, maybe you put something on your Facebook page where you bought something from that company. They send a message, hey, problem with our product. Here's a link to a picture that we took of the issue with our product. Yeah. Click here. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Stuff like that can happen. Yeah. But again, that's not usually number 1. There's other ways to compromise business.
Yeah. So we've talked about emails and Facebook. I suppose that your other social media platforms, X and Instagram and whatever else there is out there.
It's all the same concept.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've talked about how people get into your system and how to prevent it somewhat on emails. How do we do that on social media?
So with social media, actually social media along with most other things, if everyone does exactly one thing that I mention, use a password manager. Use a password manager.
What is that?
A password manager is a tool that can create secure passwords for you. And it stores them, and you only need to remember one password. I just set one of these up with a guy the other day, and I said that you only need to remember 3 things. And if you remember these 3 things, you can never be locked out of anything. The first is, remember the password manager you're using. I feel like that's pretty easy, but you never know. The second is, remember your own email, because that's your identifier for who you are to that password manager. And if you have access to your email, you will always have access to your password manager. And then the third thing, is that you need to remember your master password. You want it to be more complex than a normal password, 12 to 16 characters. People go, oh, that's a lot. But, you can make it like a short sentence. Throw some numbers in.
So you write this down and you share it with Facebook group?
We joke about this, but I've had people take a picture of it on their phone. Like, I get it. I get the idea of it, but if I can break into a computer, I can break into a phone. And if I have access to your phone and you have a picture of it on your phone, now I have everything. It's not really smart to do that. But if you have those three things, make it something you can remember. Make your master password something you can remember. Because if you can't, it defeats the whole purpose.
Right.
But once you've done that, you set up your password manager. You get all your passwords in there. And you quit using the Apple keychain. You quit using the passwords that are stored in your web browser. You quit saving it in an Excel document on your computer, and you quit writing it in that little book that you have at your house. It's got 14 pages, and it's all real scrawny, and you can't really see it anymore because you got so many passwords. And they're probably all some version of each other to begin with. Instead of all that, all the passwords are different, and they're all randomly generated, and you don't need to know what any of them are. I couldn't tell you what any of the logins are for my business except for my password manager. And I use them every day. Why? Because I don't need to know them. And I pointedly don't need to know them so that I can't give them to someone. And I never enter my master password anywhere else. So it's tremendously difficult to steal. All of my passwords are now different and secure. So if someone does manage to compromise one of my things and get my password, they only have access to that. They don't have access to my whole life now.
So you recommend people turning their social media stay signed in off?
Yep. Never check the box that says keep me signed in.
Okay.
Never do that. Use a password manager and make sure everything's different. And then also use a good antivirus. A lot of those stealers can be blocked with a decent antivirus. So like some people don't like Kaspersky because it's a Russian company, which if you don't like it, that's fine, but they do tend to be one of the better antivirus companies. Take that as you will.
What is that?
Kaspersky.
Spell Kaspersky, please.
I can barely spell it when I'm looking at it.
Kaspersky.
Yep. Kaspersky is one. Bitdefender is actually also very good, and so is Malwarebytes. Neither of those are Russian companies.
But
They're
not
great.
McAfee.
No. McAfee ships on computers. They basically signed a marketing deal with Microsoft. There's been a lot of controversy with that. Not just that whole company. And it's a little better than just adware at this point. Same thing with Norton. Norton is one of those that takes more system resources than it needs, and it can slow down your computer. It's not that it's bad necessarily. It's just it doesn't need as many system resources as it takes, and so there are better options. Ironically, they have one of the better malware removal tools out there, but still. Bitdefender and Malwarebytes, though, are some really good options to look into. Those are both paid tools. Probably don't use free versions of an antivirus, because if it's free, how are they staying in business? Probably by spamming you with ads, either for themselves or somebody else or whatever. Just don't mess with it. And even if you do, and they are a free antivirus, if it's better than what you have, why is it free? Truly. Why?
Maybe because they're giving your information to everybody and they're going to spam you, just like you have on...
So do you really think you can trust a company that's trying to give you something that they claim is free? No, just stay away from the free antivirus. Just don't do it.
Well, there are ads for, there are streaming platforms that have ad-free
True.
systems,
True.
but this is different.
Yeah, and usually because they're trying to sell you on themselves, or hey, if you buy from us, there's the free version, but if you get the paid version, you'll get all this other cool stuff. Like, great, I can go to Bitdefender and it does that anyway, and I don't have to deal with that. Why would I just not use the better service to begin with?
Yes, sir.
Right?
So
Do it right or don't do it at all.
Yeah. You've described how people can help their self stay safe so far.
Sure.
And from what I understand and what I know, we have you hired to take care of us.
Yes.
And what's the advantage of hiring somebody to do this?
So if you are an individual hiring someone to take care of your data security for you is probably not very cost effective unless you are a high likelihood of being targeted.
Okay.
Right.
And that would be somebody maybe with a high net asset value.
Yeah.
Or exposure is whatever.
Yeah. If they are a high profile person. I know some people who aren't necessarily high net worth, but they're high exposure through like nonprofits or something like that. And so their life, if someone were to compromise that, they could also compromise a lot of other things. Even though that individual might not be high net worth, they're valuable to an attacker, right? So for someone like that, yeah, okay, hiring someone might still be worth it for them because now they can protect everything that they're responsible for. But a lot of individuals, if you do those things that I mentioned and learn how to identify social engineering attempts, it's not that hard. They ask for something. They usually money or information or whatever, or they will try to get you to click on something or download something. And there's almost always some degree of urgency involved. And you can also typically see grammar and spelling issues. So if I see any of those things, immediately I'm suspicious. I've had legitimate people send me emails before, and there's misspelling in there, and I'm like, okay, let's slow down a second and make sure this is legitimate. Is there an attachment in this email? Because if there is, I'm calling that person before I'm downloading it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've read things that is not worded the way that United States citizens speak.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just crazy out of the box, different than the way we say things. And that's a red flag right there, I suppose.
Yep. I actually talked to a business, and you'd asked about businesses as well. I'll go into that next. But I talked to a business a couple of years ago, and somebody got into their email. And instead of sending them emails, they just watched. And they watched, and they saw that there was this one company that sent them regularly an invoice for large amounts. And so what they did is they fabricated an email that looked like it was from the same company, in the same format, same everything. And all they did was change the billing, the bank number. And that company got taken for $450,000 because the person who got the email paid it. It looked like a legitimate invoice, but the number changed. That was the only indicator.
Wow.
And the email was close enough that, I mean, they should have saw it, yes, but it was close enough. I'm not really surprised they didn't, because the invoice looked right.
Yeah, a lot of people are not proofreaders.
No.
I am the guy that gets stuck every time there's an error in a book for like 2 seconds. But nobody's perfect.
No, nobody's perfect. People make mistakes, and that's what these people are counting on, because you can get it right 10,000 times.
Right. They're expecting one.
They only need one. So
for $500,000 almost.
Yes. And so that company got taken for $450,000. It was insane.
So how do you help businesses?
So for businesses, there is more that you need to do, in large part because as an IT person, if someone's hiring me to do all of their IT management and security, my whole job is to protect the business assets and make sure the employees can be maximally productive. I am there to enable the employees and to protect the investment of the business owner. That's my whole job. So, on that note, protecting the investment can look like putting in better email security, because there's layers to any defense. A business is going to be higher profile by nature. It has more people that it can impact by nature. And if someone does get access to it, now the investment of the business owner is in jeopardy. So I need to protect it in layers. So you can think of it logically by keep malicious threats from getting to the business. And then if it does get to the business, I need to have something that can keep it from executing and doing anything malicious. And then if it does something malicious, I need to have something looking for the malicious activity running all the time. And that is generally the way that you build a data security. They call it a stack in my world for the people of you who care.
So I've heard keep it from infiltrating.
Keep it from getting to you. Keep it from executing. And if it does execute, find it.
And then what do you do when you find it?
When you find it, you can, let's say it is running. Well, you'd want to get rid of it first, uninstall it. and then go through, change your passwords, find out, if you can, find out what it did. If you're working with someone like me, the advantage is you don't have to do any of this stuff because it's all done for you. But if you're trying to do it on your own.
No, I'm talking about you hired services.
Oh,
Your
sure.
hired services right now is where we're talking, part of the conversation.
Fair enough.
You can take care of that for companies?
Absolutely. Because if you work with someone like me, you don't have to do a thing. The only thing that you could do is set up a password manager, which you should already be using, because you can set that up with or without me.
Yeah, not if you're me.
Well, if you're you, I'll help you do it. But yeah, if you're working through me, that's the framework. Stop it from getting to you. If it gets to you, stop it from doing anything malicious. If it does something malicious, find it, get rid of it. And then also find out what happened. There is no silver bullet in IT. There is no silver bullet of, if I do this, then I am risk-free, everything's perfect. Your employees hold the keys to the kingdom, so to speak. They have passwords. They can make mistakes. And that's where it gets a little complicated, because your employees have to have access to things or they can't work. So how do you protect them? Well, that starts with a password manager and ends with hiring someone like me to come in and make sure that you don't have to think about it. And I will do all of the steps necessary. And then you never have to think about it.
So we've covered how you became interested in IT.
Mm-hmm.
We've covered how you help people help themselves,
Mm-hmm.
how businesses can help themselves, and how you can help businesses.
Yep.
How do we help you help people better?
Yeah, I mean, if you found anything that I've mentioned valuable, share the podcast to people you know. The more people who protect themselves online, the safer we all are. You probably picked up a recurring theme of one person getting compromised, and it compromises the people that they know. This is something that is true in every aspect of IT at every level.
And
From
every
business to
aspect of
person.
life.
Oh, yeah.
When one of us hurt, all of us hurt.
Yes. And so if you protect yourself, you protect everyone you know and everyone that you're connected to. And if those people do the same thing, they're protecting you in return, right? So share this, get people to protect themselves. And if you know anyone in business, send them to me, send them to my website. One of the things that I do for businesses that a lot of business owners don't know, because it's so hands off, right? You hire an IT company and you're like, well, I hope they're doing a good job. I think they are. Nothing's broke yet, right? One of the things that I do for business owners is I'll come in and I will tell you exactly how good of a job they're doing. I have a series of tools that I run on the network, and it will help me check to see, is there anything that they should have done that they're not doing? Things like, are there known vulnerabilities on the network? If there are, they should have been already fixed. Like, why are they here? If there's passwords that you're using that are exposed, they should have told you about it. You should have something that says this password is exposed and you need to not be using that. Change it to something else. And so I can help you narrow that down and find out, like, okay, is your business actually exposed or not? And if you're using a business that isn't telling you these things and they're not closing the hidden holes that you don't see, you need to work with somebody else. If that's me, I'd love to help you. If that's not me, I'm happy to give you referrals. I know I like to be on good terms with other people in my industry. So happy to talk to you. There's no pressure. But no matter what, if you're a business owner, I can help you.
Do you have certain business levels, like certain number of employees, that's kind of your sweet spot to serve, or do you serve all types?
Yes,
sizes of
so about
businesses?
5 employees to 50 or 100 is kind of my sweet spot.
Okay.
If you're bigger than that, I have some recommendations for you. I have some people that you can talk to that I know do a good job.
Right.
And if you're smaller than that, again, I have some good recommendations for people that I know do a good job.
What is your service region? Since it is an IT, do you serve
Yeah.
all of the United States, or do you just have Tulsa Metro? Or
I prefer to serve what I call driving range of Tulsa, basically, which, I mean, that could be 2 hours.
Okay,
If
so
somebody was in
Oklahoma
Oklahoma
City.
City, sure, that's not off limits at all. And the reason for that is there are some things that's nice to do in person. I like visiting my sites and shaking hands with the people that I'm working with. I
like you doing
like
that.
being able to go out and look somebody in the eye, and when they have a problem, being able to be in front of them or with them. Now, of course, I can do stuff remotely, but if I can be on site, I like to be.
Okay.
But it's not necessarily a requirement. For instance, I've got a guy I'm talking to that he's got a couple sites up in Alaska. Most of his business is here. So if I'm helping his business, obviously I'm going to help his sites in Alaska also. But it's not exactly practical for me to just, hey, I'm going to go over to Alaska tomorrow and help this guy. Not like that's.
But at that
I
point,
can help.
you find somebody in
Yes,
Alaska that can do
yes.
that on-site work.
If there's something on site that's necessary, I'll find somebody local. And then, of course, remotely, I can double check their work, but mostly it needs to be plugged in right. Plug the dumb thing in. I can do everything else remotely.
So what I just heard is you like to function or help businesses between 5 and 50 people
Yep.
within 2-hour radius of Tulsa.
Yep.
You stretch yourself further than that for certain customers, and you help people stay safe online.
You bet.
We'll have a link to his website. Tyler, thanks for coming today.
Thank you for having me. I sincerely hope I helped somebody. And if you have more questions, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help.
We are here to help you discover or develop your passions, how you can use them, and why you exist. How can we help you help others better?